So the situation continues to continue to change and evolve. As I've stated, I will be continuing to cover this. I will cover other stuff as well, but because this is just developing like hourly and so often, I was generally sticking to like one video per day. It's almost turned into two at this rate. But there is a couple of things I want to talk about, and there's a bunch of tweets that I need to go over. So the first one is about the Steam situation. So I've seen a lot of comments. There's two things to cover from the last video. The first one, people were saying that Steam hasn't removed anyone's games from their library, just simply removed it from the shop and would distributed the $100 to the developers. Now, again, I was only going based on what I'm reading online. There are clearly people probably out there grifting for drama, making stories up. If I make a mistake, I will correct it where needed. Again, I can only go based on what I read, so I will give Steam the benefit of the doubt there. I mean, the fact that they didn't bend the knee when the Collective Shout group approached them and tried to screech at them, and only bent the knee when Visa and MasterCard came after them, which you got to understand, Visa and MasterCard is their main income source, so it's not like it's just easy for them to just go, yeah, stick it to the man. I saw someone saying that Steam has their own payment system. Last I remember, no, they don't. It would be nice if they did, but they don't, last I remember. What we need is another like type of PayPal system that you can link to your bank account and withdraw money and put money in and out and then use it, and use it to pay for things. But you've got to assume that places will accept PayPal. I mean, not many places accept PayPal right now. Oh, there are a lot that use it, but there are a lot of places that don't use it. And so that's the issue, is that even if, say for example, Elon was to make his own payment system, you've got to assume every other website is going to be willing to accept his payment system. Visa and MasterCard might try and pressure other people and say, no, you're not allowed to use that, which would be an antitrust kind of situation of trying to force that competition. But again, just because it's potentially illegal doesn't mean it will stop them from doing it. Because there's a lot of questions coming up now of whether Visa and MasterCard, what they're doing, is illegal. Now, I could ask some lawyers from other stuff, but it seems like kind of like an obvious thing to kind of use a bit of common sense on. So I will give Steam the benefit of the doubt there, but it still doesn't mean that I'm not particularly happy at the fact that, yeah, they're still removing games that should be legally accessible. And by Steam suddenly becoming the mediator, what's stopping them from moving that line constantly? As I've mentioned before in other videos, the Necopara situation, they've constantly sort of hated on Necopara and visual novels. And so it's one of those where I'm like, I just don't think Steam is as squeaky clean as people think. I do give them credit where credit is due for certain things that they've tried to resist. The other thing though too, and I've seen some people say, well, Steam can't remove it legally. Again, in their terms of service, it's, last I remember, they can legally remove games out of the library. And the reason why they have it in their terms of service is so that if they have to, they can and legally do so. So again, as I've stated in the last video, just because you bought the game doesn't mean you own the game. That's why I mentioned about the whole idea of this whole like digital code system and you being able to download it and have it on your physical drives. I had one person try to claim, oh, well, that doesn't work because online only games. And it's like, yeah, because 90% of games really need to be online only. Most games made nowadays are online only to force people to have to constantly connect. And they say it's for anti-piracy, but again, people have worked ways around that. There are so many games that do not need to be online only. And I kind of really, it boggles my mind how desperate people are willing to bot their own likes and absolutely knee-jerk defend this idea that everything has to be online. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Console games are still to this day not forcing complete online-only systems. And yet, for some reason, Steam games have to always be online. This is called fanboying. You're blindly defending something just for the sake of defending it because it's Steam. Ignoring the fact that, again, consumers should not have to always be online to play video games. That's just, again, it's so stupid that I have to say this, and it feels like I'm losing brain cells arguing with a bunch of simple-minded apes out there, or monkeys, going, ooh, Steam should make... Again, Steam's just a platform, but for some reason people are defending online only because it feels like it's a threat to their Steam platform. Again, not every game needs to be online only, yet a lot of games make themselves online only so that they can continuously try and squeeze some form of, like, FOMO out of them. I mean, a great example is that, honestly, I would use things like Diablo 3 and Diablo 4. And that's just for Blizzard games. Honestly, those games do not need to be online only. You could easily play those games solo. And you should be allowed to, especially Diablo 3. But because they force this online only so they can add their seasonal rubbish and then force this FOMO stuff so they can add battle passes. And that's why a lot of games are trying to force online systems now. So that they can pump these sort of constant monthly subscriptions and FOMO-based cosmetics and their cash shops. And then on top of that, the battle passes, the monthly or every 3 months battle pass type systems. It's so irritating how desperate people are to simp for these companies. Don't even get me started on another one that's like out there that people defend. So I just want to point that out. No, not every game needs to be online only. Some, yeah. I use an example of, say, like Last Epoch or Path of Exile, something like that, where it does have regular updates, like an actual trading a community and stuff. And you say, yeah, it actually has a trader community. But Last Epoch, by the way, does have an offline mode. And that, of all games, would count under a live service more. But that has an offline mode. So before someone says, Diablo 4 needs to be, Last Epoch doesn't. So not every game needs to be online only. It's just a shitty excuse for some developers out there to create predatory shit game mechanics to then force everyone online to then pump more DLCs or FOMO crap. So you can simp all you want for bad predatory practices. It reminds me of when I criticized the High School DxD mobile game for being nothing more than a glorified cash shop, and people like sending me death threats and coming after me with personal attacks because I dare criticize a predatory game that tries to manipulate people into spending money. Oh, the audacity. How dare you criticize the corporations? Get over yourself. And I'm still actually seeing people defend Visa and MasterCard in my comment sections. I know. Maybe I need to make a video showing some of these comments. Because like I said, if you don't want the heat, don't get in the kitchen. If I've got to put up with the heat from yous, you better be ready that I'm going to be willing to criticize. So, getting actually into the meat of it, there's a couple of things I want to go over. So, Elon's already calling out the safety bill. I just bring it up because I'm simply going to say, okay, Elon, you've got the money. Walk the walk. Because only recently on their X payment account, they did a survey about Visa and MasterCard. And it's like, again, if you're going to, just please, make your own payment system. As much as I think it's going to start off rocky, do it. Start it. Start it within your own ecosystem. Allow people to trade money within your own platform. To trade, you know, say like artists can hire people on the platform and they get money and they can send it through directly through DMs rather than going through PayPal. Have an alternative. Membership systems for those that treat it like a Patreon. Just make the Patreon type system on there. Well, the membership system a little bit more accessible. It's not as accessible. Start within your own ecosystem and then try and get popularity momentum to defend it on other platforms. Maybe then Steam might be like, you know what, we'll accept it. And once it starts with one, more than others will accept it as well. Start with the basics. Stop sucking up to Visa. I know Visa and MasterCard are going to try and clamp down on X, but again, Elon has the FU money out there. He needs to utilize it. But I also think he's just too busy with so many other projects that this is just another one that's just going to kind of like be sort of half-assed. Then you've got UK regulation threatening American companies with censorship. We will be monitoring Rumble's position carefully. It does say that Rumble is in Canada, but that also, again, it also accounts for other places as well than just Rumble. This affects other, like, they've already threatened other social media companies and all that. If you don't abide by what we want, we're going to do this, this, and that. I mean, like I said in the other video, Google is suing Australia. God, I hope that goes. I hope more companies start suing governments. So there is some resistance going on in many departments. Then you've got the petition that went to the UK government, and it's like growing massively. And their response is, nah, don't really care, suck it up. Which really irritates me. And I think it's this one here. Yeah, this tweet here, which kind of connects to that one, where there is a party in the UK that's basically saying, hey, we will repeal this. Which, again, it's up to you as a person in the UK if you're going to believe that individual party. But at least there's some hope that, hey, if this group gets booted out, another group, you vote for that other group, they'll remove it. And it's smart for a political party that wants to get into power or gain votes. They simply appease to the people. They say, hey, the people want this, let's give them what they want. Repel it, get rid of it, go back to the way things are, and they'll potentially win votes. Then you've got this. I'm not going to play the clip itself because I've watched it, but you can look it up yourself if you want to, the account and everything. You got a timestamp and everything. This one is basically where they do. I watched it, and there's no out of context speech. He tries to resist saying it, and then he just openly admits, yeah, it's just to do exactly what they said. Monitor people, stop adults from talking against them, and they've already done that within 24 hours of the bill being put through and it working in the UK or being, implemented. They've already cracked down on people that they don't approve of speech of. Like, if you say what they don't want to hear, yep, they're on your doorstep, threatening to put you in jail for... And then, the leader, I don't know if it's in one of these tweets, but the leader for the UK went to America, and Trump's just, quizzing him on it, and he's just like, oh no, free speech is a fundamentally important thing in the UK. That's why you're jailing people for speaking out against the government. You don't believe in free speech. And then you've got more stuff with Collective Shout, The Guardian's covering it, shenanigans, but of course, founder of Collective Shout. And this is where it actually gets deeper. This is something that I kind of want to delve into a separate video, is the more we find out about Collective Shout, we knew they had ties to the government, the Australian government, but it's getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. They are very, very heavily tied within the government. And it's just becoming more of a rabbit hole that, especially in Australia... we kind of have a two-party system. We have other minor parties, but we mainly have a two-party system. Both parties have tried to push some form of online censorship before with digital ID stuff. So before anyone says, oh, but Liberal, Labour, no, both have tried to push it. And if you try to play memory lane, again, I live in Australia. I knew what their policies were. I still remember when the Liberal government was in power and they wanted to push through digital ID stuff because people were making memes about the Prime Minister talking about how he cacked himself in Angadi's Macca's, and he got sooky over it and said, oh, we should implement ID to call out all these bullies. He got his feelings butt hurt, and so he wanted to put an ID system because his feelings got butt hurt. Albanese has whined online and sucked online because people have made memes about him as well, and kind of call out Elon and be like, oh, he's a bully. Yeah, irony there, dude. You're a thin-skinned little man. So, this in itself demonstrates that, yeah, these groups have some pretty heavy ties within the actual government itself. And then the last one, a major news outlet is finally covering Visa and MasterCard, not just the gaming ones. Keep reaching out, press, etc., etc. So, yeah. Like I said, this isn't going to stop at just gaming. This is going to continue. And, I mean, this isn't the first time other places have tried to ban manga and anime. And especially in the UK, because they're going after corn, as I said in my last video... and there's a lot of points that I've said in my videos that I want to kind of emphasize on, is that it will start with corn, it will go to fan service, and then it will be anything provocative that they don't deem appropriate. And it doesn't even have to be it just has to be somewhat stimulating the emotions, positive or negative. Oh, it said something edgy, ban. Overlord probably would get banned. Dumb Archie would get banned. I'm just thinking of series that I've covered. High School DxD, absolutely banned. Trinity 7... to Loveru, No Game, No Life. Any harem type series would probably get clamped under. Any series with fan service would get clamped on. Any series probably violent would probably get banned. I can tell you right now, everything will get banned to some degree in the UK. And if it starts there, it's going to move to other countries like Australia. Yeah, it's a slippery slope. And it's just sliding down. So if you think you're safe, you're not. This is a all stations battle hands. We need to all rally together on this, which is why I'm so adamant on calling this out. And yeah, I do think there are some grifters out there trying to use this as a situation to kind of more virtual signal. I mentioned in the other videos, I don't want to harp on about the whole religious aspect to it, but yeah, there are some accounts out there that are still trying to defend the censorship under sort of religious values and stuff, and they're getting exposed more and more and more for hypocrisies and double standards. Maybe I'll make a separate video on that, going over all those specific tweets if people are interested, to really highlight the hypocrisy. And it might be worth it because, again, blasting some of these larger accounts and even smaller accounts trying to grift off this might be a good idea. So, that might make them think twice. But there's a lot of people already calling them out on X. So again, I will continue to cover this situation because I am getting a lot of hate for it, and I love it because, hey, it means I'm doing the right thing. So if you do want to support the channel, hit a like, subscribe, leave a comment, because YouTube really likes it when people leave comments, even if you want to say that I smell like a bum or my hair has been completely decapitated from the other videos. Leave anything. So I'm going to have to do some more fancy editing. I'm currently uploading this video right now, so I'm going to have to cancel the upload because, and this is what I did with the last video as well, because the mouthwash situation. So again, I'm still collecting everything up, and it's like once I finish like collecting a bunch of things up, I'm like, okay, that's, you know, I can make a video, put it out, done, and then there's more straggler stuff that's like posted while I was asleep. So the situation with the mouthwash game I talked about last night, and it has apparently come, and this is what I talked about grifting. There are actual grifters out there right now. Apparently, it was confirmed that Mouthwash on itch doesn't have a download on the itch itself, but instead links to the Steam page, which makes it eligible for index of listing. Yeah, so I did check Steam last night, and it was on there, but the claims were that it was removed from itch. Itch says the devs removed their game in October 2024. Mouthwash steps are not de-indexed because of the censorship, or they claimed they were mistaken at the very least, or try to farm sales from it. So I'm just going to show all the images just for context. And so yeah, if based on what I'm reading here to be correct, basically the developers are using this situation to try and get some sales, which is very disappointing, by the way. You are trying to grift off of a situation that is quite serious with censorship and blocking games and legitimate games and stuff. Like, there is proper like delisting of games, and you are using this to spread misinformation to garner some grifting or some attention or some sales. And this is what I meant. Again, in this video and the last, there are people that are going to grift on it, and we are going to stumble a little bit, but what's important is correcting our information and keeping these people accountable, or held them accountable for the misinformation. Because yeah, this is going to be a very messy situation, and you're going to see mainstream media outlets utilize this to their advantage, which is ironic because they're one of the biggest proponents for misinformation, and that's why it's vital that we stay aware. So just a bit of an update on that situation, because I did cover it last night, and then I went to bed, and someone did mention about it, and then I was like, and then when I was looking around, I saw it, and I was like, you know what, I need to add this into the end of this video. So again, if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.